All right, so welcome to Intuition to Income 2026. This is Abby Gooch, and I am so glad you're here with us today. Of course, every episode is always very, very special, and I'll tell you why this one is. So, the woman that I'm about to introduce you is Lori Wallace. So, I met her, I want to say at least a year ago. And she's like, we do these like intro coffee meets, right? And she's like, so just so you know, I'm gonna bring tarot cards and sage, and I'm gonna like do a read. I'm like, wait a minute, like I don't do tarot, but I'm the intuitive. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, I got you figured out. I am your soul sister. I just know you. And so I was like, okay, you're right, you are. And so it's just those moments where you know that you're being watched out for. I feel like she's like a guardian angel, just watching out for me and just people in my life, and just really that kind of earth, just wise woman who just knows so much and has been there. So I wanted to bring her on the show today to share her wisdom. She has 110% followed her intuition and also through her own healing. So I know she's used just her strong connection to spirit for her healing, for her business, for her daily life. So, Lori, if you want to just introduce yourself to our audience, let them know even more about you and really how you first connected to your intuition, that would be wonderful.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I have to just kind of mention too that first time that we got together, you brought me right back, to that outdoor area, near that little coffee kind of area.
Yeah.
It was brand new in Encinitas. And that mutual attraction.
Yeah.
So I was there really because I felt, I'm gonna get my tooth tears. This is one of my little intuition things as well, but I felt your open heart
Mhm.
say, I trust you and I want to be your friend. And because I received
Uh-huh.
that,
Yeah.
I accepted and came right in. So I felt that I find sometimes that I'm a little shy, believe it or not.
Wow.
And beyond, it was in your spirit. And so I said yes to that. And then I came flooding in with my cards and my tarot and my stuff. And because I came in really with that grandmother spirit, that elder spirit, to just hold loving space and witness and listen. Because, we all go through chapters, whether it be a month, 3 months, 9 months, 7 years, 10 years of ups and downs, heartbreaks, triumphs, and tragedies, and all of it is such a glorious part of life. And so, since you brought me in to just have a deep conversation where I got to know you, it was such an honor and such a gift. So we sat there for a couple hours,
I know, right? It was
maybe almost
amazing.
three. Yeah.
It's beautiful to hear your words because I mean I wasn't thinking that, but I was obviously feeling it, right? Because I was like, of course I wanted to be your friend, but I choose my friends very wisely. So it's fascinating that I was like that open-hearted, right? It means I really did trust you and love you because yeah,
I
it's
was so
powerful.
thankful. I
Yeah.
was so thankful. We had met at the group,
Mhm.
and I had seen you from across the room with your glow and your sharing. You had shared a little bit that day about your intuitive story and history and what you do for people, just ever so gently. And
Yeah.
it was just beautiful. You just sort of dropped it in and made yourself available, and we caught a gaze, our
Yeah,
eyes,
I
and
do remember the eye gaze. I mean,
remember
it's like
that?
10 seconds. I was interviewing June yesterday that, owns the group. And I was like, man, sometimes it's like 10 seconds. And it might have been offline. I don't remember what I was telling him. It's like within 10 seconds, I have those like quick connections where they're like soul connections. It's just so easy.
Yeah,
But that's the thing
yeah,
about intuition is you feel the energy beyond words. And so that's where I'd love to go with this is,
yeah.
what do you feel in your business? What do you feel in your soul that's calling you beyond words that you can really lean into and trust that intuitive hit? So I'd love for you to kind of share how you've
Mm,
leaned into your intuition and really trusted it, because you're right. I
yeah.
do trust you. And we want to all trust our intuition.
Yes. My career path started really, that was authentically chosen and kind of through intuition, was when I was 36 and I was, 8 months pregnant,
Oh, wow.
and Twin Towers fell, and I saw the world in despair. And then I fell into autoimmune illness and I couldn't pay my mortgage and I had to sell my house so I didn't go bankrupt. And it was, it was a cathartic rupture. And what I realized that happens in those times is that the ego part of us screams and yells and runs backwards and away and tries to self-protect or protect, money or whatever's going on. When the soul is saying, oh, we're about to shift and grow and pivot. Like this is a cracking open. Something's going to fall away so that something new can be born within. And there's a chance for renewal and repair beyond our understanding the moment of crisis. And so I, at that time, being so vulnerable and feeling so sad and worried about the world, because I saw that time not as political, as actually more of a lament, of a cry, from every single person that there's despair. And I feel this constant magnetic desire for union between people, between person and plant, person and animal. Just this morning, I leaned down while I was walking with my husband around the block, and there was a cold bee on the sidewalk. And so I put my hand down, it crawled on, and normally I have to give it more than one warm puff
You're
to
so
give it its
good.
warmth. And I did the puff, and it went boom and hit me off the cheek and went off. It was ready to go. And that union, that decision right there, that collaboration of life. And so when you open your heart and recognize that everything has meaning and is gifted, so
Yeah.
you extract that opportunity for love and meaning
Mhm.
in everything, then you'll always find your way. So, as a recruiter, I share this with people all the time in my 20 years of recruiting, because people would try to make a decision between two jobs and their minds would be like, this one's better for money, position, power, or whatever. But maybe their heart wanted the one that was $10,000 less or required a relocation. And it didn't line up on the steno pad left column with more check marks for why it made sense.
Mhm.
And so, what I would guide people to do is I'd say, okay, I want full reign for your rational mind right now to judge this and judge the heck out of it.
Oh, that's
Do you have the money? Yeah, it's like
I
we
love
almost
that.
have to
Like,
give.
give yourself permission to judge because I'm always like, don't judge, just discern from your intuition, but actually go the opposite side.
It's interesting because otherwise, for many of us who aren't pure born of pure intuition like you, then that little beast
Wow.
sits there and it won't let you go there. So it's like you have to open up and go, all right, darling,
Yeah.
go for it, vent, just bring it, whatever. And we listen without blocking, and then say, okay, you've had your say.
Yeah.
We take this deep breath in and out, and we say, now it's the turn of the heart. And so we turn back to the heart and say, all right, now, and all we have to say to the heart, because there is no rationalizing, as you know, we just say to the heart, okay, I'm open to the guidance. I trust this. And then I tell people, go to sleep, go for a walk. And it's going to be something a friend says. It's going to be something on a billboard. It's going to be a
Yeah.
song lyric. It's
Yeah.
going to be something that just floats across your mind, your imagination. It's going to be, serendipitous. It's like, so you start to read
Mhm.
life
Yeah.
when the heart is open.
Yeah.
And so that's that process. And so I have people that have accepted jobs who, like, all right, I went with my heart, and then they maybe move to Colorado, let's say, and then they're laid off in a week. And they say, Lori, I followed my heart, but I got laid off. So that was not good. And then I'd say to them, well, do you want to move home? They said, no, I'm glad to be in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I said, well, then it seems that this is
This is the right
actually your
thing.
intuition. You followed your
Yeah.
path. You know, it comes in ways there was the shiny, kind of dangling kind of, oh, I'm going to tempt you to Colorado. And then it went away because that wasn't the point. And so
Yeah.
it's we all become mystics in
Yeah.
how we read life, right? In a way.
Well, I mean, it's like interdimensional in the sense that like, okay, you're guided to do something you thought it was for a certain reason, but it's actually something bigger, like you said, like going to Colorado instead of just a job.
Hmm.
So I love
Exactly.
that.
And that's when I decided to leave my big banking job and was making a very high salary, was succeeding, quote unquote, or whatever. And then all of this destruction happened. The new position I took was that of a recruiter, so I could practice radical kindness in the world. That was the spark. That was the inner voice, the intuition that would not let me go. I was sure I would pick something. And recruitment was a pay cut down to 40,000 draw. That's not even real money. Like you have to give it back next month. And I had to pick up my new baby and my husband and move us from California to Oregon and to a place where we knew no one and all of this. And sure enough, within the next 3 years, there was a lot of tragedy and a lot of, like the house was toxic and the boss was toxic and the sun didn't shine and I was miserable. And I remember one day, and this is very much of an intuitive moment, I'm driving to this job that I really don't like at all. I could almost say like I hated it because there was just no kindness, there was no love there. And as I'm driving and tears are coming down my cheeks and it's raining again.
I know.
So it's
I was born in
raining, the
Oregon.
water. Okay. And it's so emerald there. But I mean, California to Oregon, I was like, well, so much rain. And it's probably, I was like depressed. I wanted the skies to open up to blue. And I'm driving and I'm like, I hate this, I hate this. And then I heard the voice. And only twice in my life have I heard a voice out loud telling me what to do. And in this case, the voice said, do not quit this job. Do not leave this path. Right now, this is in service to you and your destiny and your gifts. And I was like, wait. And I'm literally looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Who said that? When I get to the office that day, I'm looking around going, I'm going to quit. Like I'm going to start my own company and then I'm going to leave. But I'm not, suddenly I realized this is in service because this business, there's not enough love there. So I'll leave it and I'll start a business that's based on, instead of headhunting, human connection. So I started to plot and I realized the voice was right, that this was in service because I could see the real despair in this profession. And as a result of that, I birthed something new. And I only would have known had I had that kind of dark experience. So in that case, my inner voice, intuition is for me has always been my higher self. It broke through, this dark cave, and I was kind of putting myself into a box and very lost. And it broke through and talked to me quite out loud. And I listened.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
it
it.
was really exciting. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
The second time it talked to me was one day when I was really upset with my husband, and it told me he's the man for you and he does everything for you, and just remember that. And I was like, okay, I'll keep him. And I'm so glad I have. He's my soulmate and my love. But that's the second time the voice broke through. Not wild. It's only happened twice in my life.
I mean, intuition always knows. So I'm really glad that you listened and you followed it. That's the difference, right? Sometimes we get those voices, we're like, is that really real? And you actually trusted it and took action on it. So that's the difference.
Yeah. And it was so interesting because I have often, and I'm sure this process too that you're helping people with so often. It's so important that you can ask a question to yourself, like, should I do this thing, or should I even say what I want to say? And then you'll hear a response that's quiet. It's not a voice, but I'll have a response that just says, no, don't say that, or yes, that's the direction to go in. And it's like it's a whisper. It's not even a sound, but it's a consciousness knowing that isn't language. And then I'm grateful for it. I'm studying polyvagal theory right now, which is talking about the nervous system. And I'm into this.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned recently is something called the vagal brake. And I'm like, what is that? And the vagal brake is when our nervous systems are always responding to potential threat. That's its job. That's what its biological purpose is. But if we don't have a moment where we can pause for intuition to talk, for a sense of like a higher sense of knowing or feeling or doing or reacting, then we just kind of go into that primal space. And so there's that idea of creating space, enough space for that voice, for that higher self, for that whisper to be heard. That's almost first,
Yeah.
space.
Yep. Yep. I was talking with another guest about that. It's like the space actually creates. You can hear the intuition. You quiet your mind, you open your heart, and you're just like, okay, I'm open. I can
Yeah.
receive, you know?
And sometimes saying, like you just said, I'm open, I'm ready to receive. Somebody said something to me when my child was about 7, and we were part of the Waldorf school system, which is extremely magical.
Yeah.
And they said something to me, and it always stuck with me. It's a little bit more of just like an idea, but it stuck with me that they say, we all have guardian angels, and that between the age of like 0 to 18, your guardian angel is there to protect. And honestly, I saw my son fall off of a wall one time and should have broken his neck. And when I watched that, he fell in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I know he was protected. And so he fell, and I thought, oh, but then what my friend told me, she said, but after 18, sort of like it knows the year that you can vote, but after 18, you have to ask, often, because that creates the opening. Because as we get older, we're not as open. Children are so open, they're so porous. There is a lot of exchange without even knowing. But once you kind of 18, you have responsibilities and you leave, we start to shut down that channel and feel and act and kind of brave the world as if we are merely material
Mhm.
and merely these mortal, material, rational beings. And so, even the nature of saying, I'm open to the guidance,
Mhm.
brings it's an invitation to that guardian angel or spirit or higher self or God or universe or all the different things. There's so many different words. But it has to be like we have to first be open. Otherwise, there's nowhere for it to come in,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I love
So,
that.
that's part of that practice too.
I love that, Laura. So obviously, you followed your intuition to create greater income because you started your company. So it's like I can't
Yeah.
even ask the question because you already answered it. But I love that you did it from a place of kindness, which is one of the reasons I love you. I mean, it's just who you are. Like you just care so deeply about everybody, really, and every bee on the. I had a little bee that came here too. I was like, I guess the bees were talking to us today. But it really is, I think, also having the courage, to work
Yes.
through what was happening in your life from a place of love instead of like going down with it. You're like, I'm going to rise, I'm going to connect in with my intuition, and I'm going to
Mhm.
move forward with love. And so I think that's really what I'd like to highlight is you can have that courage and that love no matter what's happening and just stay connected and walk forward in that, you know?
Absolutely. When I decided to start my own company, and my husband at the time didn't have a job, so we moved back to the Bay Area. I had a 1 year non-compete. I was afraid of being sued. So I had a lot of reasons to kind of fall into that darkness place and maybe, not brave it. And so I told myself, and I kind of told my higher self, I'm going to give this 6 months and I am not going to pull out. And I don't care if it's like to the last day, I'm going to give it all the way to 6 months and I'm going to give it my all. And that seemed like a good thing to say. Like my body needed to know that it wouldn't just seep forever where I didn't see any sort of boundary or any sort of like launch pad. Like I had to really give it 6 and then evaluate. And as I'm doing this, I had a great deal of failure at the beginning because I'm in this non compete. So I'm working in a territory, Pittsburgh, that I don't know from remote, trying to make a business in recruiting and healthcare.
Wow.
And so within a couple days, up goes the bulletin board in my office space. And I start putting up all sorts of quotes from Rumi, from all sorts of mystics and Maya Angelou. And every day I sit down and I read these and I'm ingesting these in like I'm ravenous for them because I needed to balance out the other voice that was very loud and saying, you're a failure and this is not working. And I kept saying, I have 6 months. I would read the spiritual, I would breathe, and I would trust. And sure enough, I was down to 3 days before the 6 month. And my husband that week was coming in to the office and he'd see me really holding on, but he'd say, like, how you doing? And I said, well, I'm running on fumes. And he'd say, do you want to quit? And I said, no. I told myself, I told the universe 6 months. So then he'd leave and he'd come back the next day, how you doing? And I said, I'm on fumes on fumes. And same question. And finally I'm like, I'm on atoms on fumes. And then the last day, he's like, where are you? I go, John, I have nothing. And he goes, you want to quit? And I said, no. And the very next day, 3 matches.
Wow.
And by the next year, I made $500,000.
Okay.
I went
High five. That's awesome. That's amazing.
from zero to 500,000. And where I had been working for the recruiting company is they were taking 90% of my commissions. I was making 80,000 working just as hard. And then I made 500,000. When I took the chance, I followed my intuition, I listened to the
Yeah.
voice. I just set up my shingle and I told the world, I said, I'm here to practice radical kindness. I'm here for human connection. And I brought that forward. And then within a couple years, it was so funny. I started to hear rumors that my prior business partner at the organization that was really closed down and not full of love, that he kept saying, Oh yeah, I partnered with Lori. He was trying to kind of
Oh,
get in on the love
yeah.
because they need, it's a Jerry Maguire moment. Do you remember in the end of that movie if you've seen it? And like all of a sudden all of the athletes want a hug from their
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah.
That's what was happening because I just showed up with the love and suddenly all the clients wanted that and everybody wanted that.
Yeah.
And this other person couldn't fake it. It's
Yeah.
just it's real.
Yeah. So the one thing I feel, a lot of things actually, but the main thing is you had faith. You had faith. You're like, my intuition says I don't see it yet, but I know
Yeah.
it.
It did. And I had to have faith in the abyss because I'm walking out and I have no idea if I'm going to make money for my family. I have no idea if I'm going to survive this
Mhm.
experiment. And the faith, the commitment, the just the resilience. That's just like I want to live a life where somebody at the end, if they ask the question, "Did this woman? Did she have passion?" And everyone's going to go, "Oh yeah, she had passion." And passion is always choosing the heart. It's braving those perceived failures and they're not, they're part of the experience of growth and wisdom and learning. And I think sometimes people, even that movie like The Secret, did a little bit of harm because people thought as long as I imagine and focus that I'm getting a Ferrari or something like that, then I will get it. And it became very materialistic.
Mm.
And what I found is that the idea of holding in and believing in something that's kind of more at the center, what you always say is at the center of love.
Mhm.
You know, that's what the soul yearns for. And so at the end of the life, no matter what path we took, we had passion and we had love. And it can look so different than the American dream or, whatever somebody else might
Yeah.
perceive as success.
Yeah.
That's my through line is it's always love
Yeah.
and the faith
Agreed.
in it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
See, that's why you're my friend.
That's why you might have
Choose love. I love it. It's so beautiful. The wind is just like coming. It's like all this energy is like coming from the ocean and it's just really amazing coming to us,
Oh,
right? And I think that's
yes.
intuition, right? It's like everything comes to you. When you're clear, you start trusting yourself and then you have the faith. It's like, oh my gosh, it's here. It's like,
Oh,
I want to live by the water. Okay, it's here. Like things start lining up when you have that knowing and you have that faith. And like you said, the through line of love, you just keep following it and the path is there 100%.
I just got the chills when you said that because interesting thing about it is that when you set your imagination and you set your ideas on what's next, like you have a
Yeah.
knowingness, you're like, I
Yeah.
see myself by the beach. This move is coming.
Mm.
It doesn't always have to be also like my changes that I just explained, full of grace. Like, I came, our house had mold, I had a
That's an
miscarriage, like
organ thing,
various
by
things.
the way.
Right. If that's
The whole thing
typical,
is an
right?
organ
That happens.
thing.
A lot of mold, a lot of issues that were going on. And so it doesn't always look and feel good
Yeah.
initially as you're going through it. There's a lot of bumps.
Mhm.
But that's the thing is, I use that analogy of the river.
Mhm.
And a river after a melt, like when it's in spring, that's when the sun's coming out and all of that ice on top of the mountain starts to melt. And that spring river becomes quite agitated. It is full of water. And if you are going to go river rafting in spring, you got to be good at it. It's going to be like 5 on that scale, and you have to be like a good guide. But what the guide is doing, even when the river is just when it's hitting the boulders and the rocks and it's everywhere, it's beautiful, but it's also invigorating. Is that guide is looking at the through line of the river and it's smooth and it's really slow and it's just moving to the sea of love. And so he's got his eye on that while the rest of the people in the boat are like, and they've got their paddles and they're kind of freaking out. So it's like, how do you hone
Yeah.
your attention to that through line?
Yeah.
So it's like while you were moving to your new place or while I'm starting in my job, it's like chaos, change, packing, blah, blah, all these things that on this Richter scale of life are high stress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, you already said it. We said it together, right? It's the knowingness you had. Like, I will always remember your husband coming in. You want to quit? You want to quit? No, no, because your knowing was like, I got this. So you had the knowing and the faith. That is the through line.
It is. It was. And it was helpful. I felt contained
Mhm.
because that decision to give it 6 months also felt safe and responsible because I'm a mom, I had a child, I had a lot of responsibilities, so I needed to marry my masculine and my feminine a little bit. So I kind of said to my masculine, my protective side, look, give me 6 months and
Mhm.
then let me have my way with this time. And and that's what it took. During those 6 months, anyone, my husband or anyone looking in was like, Lori, this is not working. I remember my parents like, do you need to go out and get a job now? And I'm like, no, I gave myself 6 months. I'm taking it, and now I'm following my intuition every way. And I would sleep on it. I'd wake up with a new idea and pursue that conversation. And it was like planting a garden. It took 6 months for it to just bloom, and then it did. It was just like a massive blooming within 3 days. And I remember I look at my husband. I'm like, I closed 3 days. In 3 days, I made $100,000. And he looked at me, he's like, I'm glad you stuck with it. He said, he started learning in our relationship because he's a thinker. He's a very protective, beautiful man. He's very rational. And it's been very interesting and difficult for him to live with me because I'm the woman who says, let's just jump off the cliff. We'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says, how about a parachute
Yeah.
as well? And I'm like, sure.
You're like,
And
I
I've
got my
learned
wings. You can have the parachute.
completely. I'm always just woo because I completely trust it.
Yeah.
Completely trust it. And so it's been an interesting process to be intuition led, to feel the faith and trust, and really have to also work that with others that operate differently, and not to judge that as negative, but more as like an opportunity that sort of serves the ripening of my ultimate formula.
Yeah.
Which again, as I mentioned, is like, okay, ego, have your way. Just it's like with a child who's having a temper tantrum. You're like, okay, come on, feel the emotions. You're okay. You're okay. Mama loves you.
Right.
And then after that, then we come into the calm and we're like, hey, I'm wrapping you with my angel wings. But there has to be like opening for all the emotions, in a
I
way. And
love
he's taught
that.
me all that.
I love that. You're such a mama. It's so cute. Like mama of the world. It's so adorable.
I
Wow.
want more children, but too late.
Aw. Is there any just like words of wisdom you want to leave people with that they can just kind of like pull out of their back pocket? Like, remember this, you know?
Mm. What comes to mind, and it's always shifting and changing, is that, last night I went to go see for the second time the movie Hamnet. And it's a beautiful story. It's based on the true story of William Shakespeare
Okay.
and the absolute tragic death of his child, one of his twins. He had three children, a little girl named Savannah, or is that her name?
Yeah.
Susanna, and then he had twins, a boy and a girl,
Okay.
and Hamnet and Judith.
Oh,
And what you see through the movie, is this trauma and tragedy of loss. And then you see through the words and the deep love and the everlasting love of this family and Shakespeare's ability to go ahead and through nature, through his deep kind of soul merge understanding of love and his capacity to bring it through plays so everybody could feel it all at once. As I left that movie theater after seeing it a second time, I'm just reminded that everything that we need to know is in nature, in intuition and love. Every single day we look outside and there's a spring rain, or there's a rain that's happening right now, and suddenly the grass just pushes up through cracks and things. And so the lessons of resilience, of faith, of hope, of passion, the bee that finds the pollen and just covers itself with all that and then goes back to the hive and waggle dances and tells
yeah.
everybody where the goodness is. If we just look to nature, because it isn't good for nature that it's not dealing with the human psyche's
Mhm.
capacity to go inauthentic or become, quite just anxiety ridden and all of that. It's purely in a love life cycle.
Mhm.
Then there's renewal there. And you could just go out and stare at the clouds. Just try that.
Yeah.
Just if it's not raining and snowing where you are, and depending on what season we're talking about,
Yeah.
go outside, lie down, and look at the sky and see how you feel. See
Yeah.
what happens with intuition.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing having this garden. Like, I mean, from like a spider web to the birds to the cats. I mean, it's just insane. Like you watch the whole garden grow with my love and the seeds, and
Oh,
it's been amazing. It's epic.
Love begets love. I mean, I saw that video. Here you were in your cute little sandals and everything. You definitely were not in your, in your digging clothes, but you were there and you're like, and you had your axe and you're like, whoa. And I'm going, girl, that is cement soil. And I'm thinking to myself, good luck.
I know,
You're
me
going to
too.
need,
I was
I'm
like, there's
thinking,
no way we're gonna like, I was like, nope, there absolutely has to be a way. I'm gonna try. We're just gonna dig and dig and dig, and it's gonna work.
you dug. And I'm like, she's going to need mulch. She's going to need, I don't know what she's going to need. And then I came by and saw your place and it's fully alive.
I
It was like
know.
fully fertile.
It's amazing.
So yeah, you just bring the love, bring
Yeah,
it, bring it
100%. 100%.
100%. See what happens next.
Right? I know. I know. So, Lori, I'd love for you to share your website, a way that people can connect with you. Some people have their businesses, other people are like wanting to advance in their careers. So I know that you do a lot with that, right? I mean, I know that you can coach people at any level. So I'd love for you to share like how you can help everybody and how they can get access to you.
Ooh, such a good time to ask that question because the start of this year, 2026, the year of the fire horse, so we're coming off of, the snake period where there was so much reveal and shed, and coming into this year, in the month of January, I'm offering for free something called Story Form Resume. And so people can come on in to the website, which is www.careerecology, those two words together.com. And there's a little like cute little orange button. It has a little like gift box on it. And you click on that and you can come on in and it'll be live trainings towards the end of the month. There's the custom chat GPTs and all of the templates and training. And what this is a wholly new. This is a one page resume with review addendums, so up to 9 people and all the good things they have to say about you, that gives you instant sort of social trust and credibility. And a way that this resume is designed with left brain, right brain, still as a recruiter, I'm making sure there's a lot of good information, but we feed in like what somebody's doing from their volunteering with their work, what are their skills and skill sets, what's objectives, what are they dreaming about. It comes together, and this is the piece that I recommend people use for social networking. So when you're at an event, somebody's interested in your work, you can say, hey, I'll just send you my story form. It's not a full resume. It's not that. It's somebody gets to get excited and
They
see
feel
you and see
you.
what
I
people
feel
have to
like it
say.
goes back to you,
Yeah.
like being the connector. Like they
Yeah.
feel who you are in the story form. Like I just have to interrupt you because I can feel it in my
Yes.
heart. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
actually connect to who you are through the story form resume. And then you can get the other resume if you want, but it's that connection is currency thing. It's like you want
Yeah.
to hire somebody that you love, that you feel comfortable with. And yes, look at their credentials
100%.
after, but when you feel their heart, you're like, yeah, done.
The attraction has to be there. And
Totally.
since the industrial age, and why unions had to come up and everything, is that we did these resumes and we kind of dumbed ourselves down. We're like, okay, I'm an ingredients list.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bullet point myself. And that's really been part of our unconscious modern time of some people are just here to fulfill somebody else's dream. But the truth of it is, work is mutuality. It is a combination and a decision to share mutual dreams, aspirations, and
Yeah.
creativities. And
Yes.
so, somebody who says, I don't want to be my own boss, I want to make a difference, though, at this business, and this is what I care about, then suddenly those two things come together and there's magic.
Mhm.
So, it's best if you're able to express that so that that match really happens, that catalyzes and alchemizes that kind of
Yeah.
experience for all. And that might be an experience that's 2 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years. There is no definition on time either. It's just really about what feels good and that feels enlivening. And as soon as you feel like, it's like something feels too small for you,
Mhm.
then that's usually the impetus to start to look at what's that next growth experience, what's that next evolutionary pivot.
Yeah.
And so this resume, which again, come on it, people can sign up for free and you tell your friends, whatever. And towards the end of the month, I'll be wrapping everybody in with my angel wings and explaining, and empowering people into their brilliance
Yeah.
and really kind of opening the door to full expression and saying to everyone, your life, your dreams, your prosperity, it
Mhm.
is here.
Yeah.
It is here for the taking.
Yeah.
Begin by expressing who you are.
Yeah. I feel like you just help people align to who they are and manifest their perfect job. That's what I feel like you do.
Yeah. And how that happens is that the first conversations are, let's go beyond that ego part of, what you think you're supposed to do or someone else told you or all these kinds of things. And we almost kind of start with, things like, what is it that, what would you do if you could? I mean, there's always that question, but, what are you just aching over? Like, where's the pain point even? And let's just express it without, some people have a hard time expressing the pain they're feeling with their life because someone told them that we always have to be optimistic. There's almost a toxic positivity. And the problem is that the pain is actually like the little light on the dashboard in the car that's like, hey, I need more oil, if I want to go a little. So I always invite people to complain with me as much as they want because I'm always like, I'm listening for the pain points and then bringing them around to kind of discern out of that what's really then at the center of the longing.
Yeah.
But we got to get that out because otherwise, again, it just sits there. It's like Charlie Brown, just like nobody's going to listen to me. I'm just going to sit here and complain, for days on end. And so it's good to just kind of let it out, and then all the creativity comes. It's so fun.
I'm just laughing because that's the second time today that somebody mentioned Charlie Brown, and I don't
You're
even like.
kidding.
All I know that is like Snoopy and Charlie Brown. I don't know much of it because I didn't grow up with the TV, but I just think it's funny. The second time today, somebody mentioned Charlie
You
Brown.
are kidding me. That is so weird.
I didn't grow up
That's a
with TV. I
synchronicity.
just like Snoopy, and so I kind of remember Charlie Brown and Snoopy, but I don't like have any
Well,
connection.
Snoopy, if I were to guess, if we were to do the temperament, so this is kind of, I use these guys because it speaks to the four temperaments that were from like Hippocrates times back to the humors, the life humors. And you and I are, we're very Snoopy. We're
Okay, because
very like,
I love Snoopy.
we are so like,
Cute.
Snoopy's just like, hey, no, let's just have a party and let's just be happy and let's do this and let's like be brave. And Charlie Brown's like, no, nobody loves me and no one's gonna come. And then Lucy's like, we're having a lemonade stand, 5 cents, come on, that. And then you have Linus in the middle with a blue blanket, and he's just like, hey, 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 everybody, let me just cover you with my blue blanket. Everything's gonna be okay. And you can think of people in your lives and the various temperaments. I'm married to Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown married Snoopy, not Lucy.
That's so
And my son is Linus.
that's
And
cute.
so is my mother. And so it's fascinating, the temperaments. That's a deep
Cute.
area of compassion.
That's really cute. I love that. Well, thanks for letting me on what Charlie Brown is. I'll go try to find it on Netflix now.
They're such cute characters, but they really represent the four. So Sex in the City also represents the four temperaments. So do the Beatles. I mean, it's like these are the four main temperaments, and you
Yeah,
find groups will come together, and you really need a little bit of all of them to
yeah.
have the full harmony, you know?
No, I agree. I feel
Kind
it.
of wild.
I feel it.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
cool.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, Lori. It's always such a pleasure
Uh,
to connect with you and just be in your
oh.
energy. And yeah, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for the honor of this conversation and for your friendship.
Absolutely, of course. So obviously, I recommend her. She's incredible. And I almost want to go as far as to say, even if you are in your own company, to reach out to her. She'll help you grow. She'll help you really get tuned in to really who you are, what you want, and what your next level is. So yeah, you're amazing. And of course, if you want a job, she's your girl. All
I'm
right,
here.
everyone. If you want to learn how to develop your intuition and monetize your gifts, you can go to www.lifeforceconnection.com, click on services, and you will see the club, the wellness center, all of it. So we got you back. All right, talk soon. Bye.